Welcome to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller, the podcast. These episodes were originally aired on Brookings Radio. Now they're on the net for you.
Hey, if you want to hear anything special on the show, reach out to us on Facebook. We're always looking for new content. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. This week, we continue our look at the flagship beers of Wooden Legs Brewing with their signature pale ale, Split Rock Creek. Seth Cook says a flagship beer is one of those on which a brewery kind of hangs its hat, and Split Rock Creek is definitely one of their signature beers.
Split Rock Creek is probably one of the flagships of the flagships. So Split Rock Creek is a pale ale. It's an American-style pale ale. The cool thing about pale ales in the craft beer world is that pale ales are often used to kind of self-describe what a brewery does, is used to show what the brewer is interested in terms of malt, in terms of style, and in terms of maybe even hops. And our pale ale is no different. So our pale ale you're going to find is British of origin. I mean, it's American style, or it's an American pale ale, meaning we use American hops and we use some American yeast. But the malt bill itself is very British of origin, and I think that's a real testament to kind of our approach to beers in general. So I think it does a good job kind of representing or maybe even encapsulating an entire theme of our brewery.
You've never hidden your British influence.
And we've always enjoyed it. We've always kind of worn that on our sleeve. Split Rock Creek, it comes in a little over 5.5, sometimes 6, so it's not really strong, but it's definitely beyond some of the lighter in ABV beers that we have. We use a dry hopping technique in it that most pale ales do. Our dry hopping, we use the same hops that we use in the boil or in the kettle. Now, we talk about dry hopping. That's actually adding a hop into the finished beer. So you don't boil it, you just basically soak it for a couple weeks in the beer to extract some of those flavors. You're
almost steeping the hops in the early beer, if you will.
Right, and that's a great way to put it, because by steeping it in the finished beer, you get some of those aromas, and you don't necessarily get some of the bitterness or any of the other flavors, but you definitely get the flower characteristics of the hop.
And in an American Pale Ale and IPA, for that matter, the aroma is just as important, I would dare say, as the taste.
And it's very defining in the pale ales. What our defining hop blend is, we use a blend of C hops, the letter C hops from the Pacific Northwest. This was, everything from Chinook to Cascade to Centennial.
More on Split Rock Creek Pale Ale when Beer Untapped continues. Welcome back to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller as we discuss the flagship pale ale of Wooden Legs Brewing, Split Rock Creek. Seth Cook says there's a story behind the name.
Judge Wilmot Wood Brookings, who is the namesake of the brewing company, was bucked off of his horse in a January, not unlike the one we just had.
Right.
It's not unlike that one. He was bucked off his horse into Split Rock Creek, of all places. He crawled to safety, but the medicine at the time couldn't save his legs. So for the rest of his life, he was a double amputee with a pair of wooden legs. And because Split Rock Creek was such a significant part to the Judge Wilmot Brookings wooden legs story, we thought we needed to immortalize the name of the creek into one of our beers. And that's where the name Split Rock Creek Pale Ale comes from.
The Pale Ale does not get the love it once did in the craft beer world, but Seth considers it a benchmark style and will always try a pale ale, if available, when visiting a new brewery.
What I consider a pale ale index is that you have to pay attention to it to make it well. And a brewery that can make a pale ale well has showed a dedication to a style that doesn't get a lot of fanfare in some cases, but still is a technically sound and fundamental style that they can build the rest of their brewing process off. So the Pale Ale Index, as said by Seth and nobody else, but that's my own, the Pale Ale Index helps me kind of judge where a brewery is going.
Split Rock Creek was also the basis for the first packaged beer from Wooden Legs, Small Town Pale Ale.
We brewed in partnership with Brow Brothers over in Marshall. Because of how the grains and the size of batches and things we did, there was some intelligent and deliberate modification.
And the water.
But that's why we called it Small Town Pale Ale. So Small Town Pale Ale is very, very, very similar to Split Rock Creek. It was just a little bit of a derivative based on what we could actually make.
There are several craft breweries, Sierra Nevada, Three Floyds, Toppling Goliath, right off the top of my head, that built their reputation in their breweries around their pale ales. Split Rock Creek, a nicely balanced, aromatic, flavorful pale ale. You can find it on tap right now at Wooden Legs Brewing in Brookings. Finally today, an all-ages fundraising event coming to Wooden Legs, being organized by a couple of guys who work at the brewery. Derek Schmidt and Grady Miller are putting on the Brookings Gaming Championships, and Derek and Grady say it's an all-ages event with proceeds going to charity.
First time event that we're putting on Saturday, February 16th. It starts at 3 and it just kind of runs throughout the rest of the day, and I think we've got over 13 games selected right now that you can compete in for a $5 ticket, and all of the proceeds are going towards the Brookings Regional Humane Society.
What's some of the games you picked so far?
So we picked a pretty wide variety. We've got everything from Pong, I think is our oldest game, and we've got the newest Call of Duty there as well. A lot of fighting games in between there. Some fan favorites. We've got Mario Kart. We've got Super Smash Brothers. We've got Tetris. All kinds of stuff.
Again, that's Saturday, February 16th in the side room at Wooden Legs. That's it for this week's show. Until next time, drink local and drink responsibly. Thank you for listening to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller, originally aired on Brookings radio stations K Country 102.3, The Hawk 107.1, and B93, and now here for your listening enjoyment as well. If you want to hear it live, it's every Wednesday and Saturday on those three stations.
And of course, if you're not in the Brookings area to hear it live, you can find us on the internet on your favorite podcast player. If you like this show, make sure to rate and review, or maybe even tell your friends.